Welcome to Car Shopping Questions and Answers. If you are car shopping now, or you will be in the next 6 months, I want you to type me in the comments. We're about to go live, do some serious car shopping Q&A for the next 45 minutes to an hour. So you can start typing your questions, as many questions as I can get to in an hour. We'll get through them. And what you often will see that someone else is going to ask the same question you have. So a lot of times you'll actually, even if you can't get your question into the stream, because usually by the time we get 20, 30 minutes in, we got lots of questions and we don't always get to them all. But usually someone else will literally ask the same question that you have. So, so we can start talking. I'm just sharing this to Facebook now. This entire stream is sponsored by my new digital book. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. You can get a copy for 75% off for the next 30 minutes in my TikTok bio, my YouTube, in my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, the YouTube comments, or the Facebook comments. And the book's normally $97. Everything we'll be going over today will be out of that book. Every answer that I give you is out of that book. So if you want the entire blueprint and you don't want to remember the things that we're about to go over, you grab the book. And obviously, everything we're about to go over, we wouldn't be able to cover everything that's in the book. There's like 100 questions that'll be answered in that book. So let me just share this to Facebook, and we'll get started with the first question that we got from TikTok. So type your questions in as fast as possible, and type your questions in one shot. Don't do like a part 1, part 2, and because then Dolan can't bring them into the stream. Okay, Dolan, let's get going. Let's throw off the first question, please. Nora, I'm upside down on my vehicle. How do I get out or pay off early? There's 2 ways to deal with negative equity. One of them is easier. It depends on the resources you have. So you have the option to pay the difference, which means you are actually going to say my highest offer for my car is $18,000, but I owe $20,000. That means I have $2,000 of negative equity. I'm going to pay that off. That way I can go and do a clean transaction for my next car. I don't have baggage going into my next car. And I get to maximize the value of my current car through what we call a bidding process. So we don't trade our cars. We only get bids from cash buyers like Carvana, CarMax, Kelly's Blue Book Instant Cash Offer, AutoNation, Car Gurus, and Driveway. That's 6 cash offers we get. These are companies that fight feverishly to buy cars. They pay more than dealers, and they write checks on the spot. You literally go, have your inspection, they go into the accounting department, and they come back with a check for you. This is not like selling your car on Facebook Marketplace. So they're going to pay more than dealers. So you want to make sure, if you can, you sell to them, because that's going to be the highest offer you're going to get for your car. And that's going to be the least amount of negative equity you will have. If you can't pay the difference, then you must trade. And trading is a curse word here, because you never get what your asset is worth trading. If I wanted to trade this phone, I'm not going to get as much as I would get putting it on the open market and getting prices and offers for it. So trading is a last resort. What happens is, if you can't pay the difference, you now will go shop for your new car, find a dealer willing to sell you the car at the lowest price, and then you would ask that used car manager to value your car. I do not recommend you go into the dealer and let them just mix the deals together. Write me a deal where you work in my trade-in with my negative equity. No, shop for your car, get your best offer from a dealer, new car, used car, or lease. And then once you identify the winning dealer, that's when you say, hey, can you take a look at my car? What's it worth to you? Now it's its own separate transaction. And if your payment was this $800 a month, you'll know, now what is my old car going to add to that? If my payment was $400 a month, now I know what is my old car going to add to that. And I can see what you're giving me for it, how much negative equity I'm going to bring into this transaction. And it's an easier way to understand the numbers. You don't want to be mixing transactions if you don't have to. And the key to understanding negative equity and the cause is you don't lease. That is the cause. The only way you're having negative equity is you continue to buy cars, but you're not a long-term person. You trade them in or replace them before the loan is paid off, and someone taught you not to lease. So you're going to continue to be in this repetitive cycle because you don't lease. There are emergency situations where you need to switch cars, but if you're not keeping your cars 8 years, this is rule number 1 in my book. You should be shopping for below market lease deals, not for purchases. So that's your 2 options. Decide which one you can do, and then you make your move. Now, and now also keep in mind, you have loan to value ratios when you have to transfer. The bank's only going to approve about 20% of what the actual new car price is. So whatever car you're buying, if you're buying a $30,000 car, the bank's only going to approve 20% more than that. They're not going to allow you to slap $10,000 on a $15,000 car, because they're only, they have loan to value ratios. So what you want to do, if you have a large amount of negative equity, you want to shop for cars, and you want to shop for cars that you can get big discounts off of. There's certain cars that have rebates. They're not listed. But in my system, what I do is I teach you how to get bids on cars. We have some people, I'll show you people who've gotten $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $27,000 off. I'm not going to exaggerate. The biggest discount we've helped someone get using our strategies is Milligan on her Mercedes-Benz. She got $73,000 EQE, and she paid $51,000 for it, 54. It's $27,000 off. I got it up here. So if she had, let's just say she had $15,000 in negative equity, it's no problem. She's not going to blow out the loan to value ratios because she got a huge discount off the new price. So it's going to fall within the bank's parameters. But I hate negative equity. I call it the devil to your car deals. I call it the bad credit for people with good credit. So it's important that when you get out of it, you know what the cause is, because if you don't know the cause, you'll be in negative equity again in 3 years. Most of you who have negative equity, you should be moving from a purchase into a shopping for below market lease, and stop tying up your money in these cars, and you'll never have negative equity again. 8 long-term people who keep their cars 8+ years, you never have negative equity. See, that's, there's a reason for that. I'm keeping my car, I'm paying it off, I'm beating depreciation, I'm getting all the money out of my car. Short-term people should not be buying their cars. Go ahead, Dolan. All right, keep typing your questions, y'all. We'll get to as many questions as we can in 45 minutes. Now, let me just actually say this. We have a 7-step process. Everything in my system is 7 steps. We don't go, see, a lot of times you don't understand what you should be doing first. Should I be focusing on my old car, my trade-in, shopping for a car first? What should I be doing first? So we have a system that you actually now have a process. It's 7 steps. First step is the most important question. That's leasing versus buying. How are you going to beat depreciation? Because you're about to buy a depreciating asset. If you buy a depreciating asset with no plan to address or beat the depreciation, you are going to lose like everyone else loses. So we need to see, am I going to beat depreciation with a long-term purchase, or am I going to beat depreciation with a below market lease? Long-term purchase, I got to tie up my money. My money's going to be in the car 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, but over time, the depreciation is going to cool off. I'm going to have a vehicle that doesn't depreciate much. Who has a vehicle that they've had for more than 10 years? Type the number of years you've had it in the comments. If you had a vehicle for 10 years, type 10, 12. Even if you had it for more than 8, let's go 8 because it's called the 8-year rule. If you've had it for more than 8, type the number of years that you've had your vehicle in the comments. Let's see how many long-term people we truly have, because not a lot of people are long-term. Like every time I ask this question, we don't get a lot of people that's like, yeah, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. Look, we don't have many people that can say they even have a car on here that they've had for more than 10 years, more than 8 years. But you're tying up all this money in these cars, and then you're going and you're replacing them in 5 years and 6 years. And look, Sharon, 14 years. God bless you, Sharon. That's a long-term person. Look, Ray Johnson, 9 years. That's a long-term person. So they don't have to worry about depreciation. Their car right now is worth the same amount it'll be worth about a year from now. If Ray's car is worth $9,000, a year from now, it's going to be close to 9. He's beat depreciation. So if you're not buying cars to beat depreciation, you shouldn't be buying them, because you're not going to beat depreciation in the short term. You can't. It's impossible. The only way to beat depreciation as a short-term buyer is to get below market leases, because you're never tying up your money in that car. not regular leases, below market leases. Big difference. Go ahead, Dolan. I see we had a question come from TikTok. Let's throw them up. Okay, what about a fun car? I'm planning to keep my brand new car for 5 years. My previous car was a lease and traded it in since I had positive equity. That you're going to lose. Keeping a car for 5 years, a brand new car for 5 years, you're going to lose. And I'm going to show you how big you're going to lose by doing this. You can't keep a car for 5 years. If you're telling me you plan to keep a brand new car for 5 years and then replace it, this is the depreciation curve. This is the depreciation curve. You're going on a sliding board. Whatever you paid for this car, let's say you paid $35,000. In 5 years, that car is going to be worth $17,000, maybe $15,000, depending on how much you drive. You're literally going down a sliding board, and then you're going down another sliding board when you get your next car. You're wrapping up money in these cars. Now, when we look at somebody like Ray, who kept his car for 9 years, his depreciation curve doesn't look like yours. It looks like this. See, this is what it looks like when you first buy the car. You're losing value every single day. You're losing thousands of dollars in value on a yearly basis. So when you go and say, all right, I'm going to just go buy this car, tie this up, let me show you why you can't do that compared to someone who's leasing. You're going to spend thousands of dollars more. So you take somebody who got a below market lease like Zafrina. No, that's too. Let's use Zafrina. She gets a $65,000 vehicle. She's paying $579 a month. $65,000 vehicle, $579 a month. That's what we call a 1% lease or below. When you have your lease payment is 1% of the MSRP or less, that means that's a 1% lease or lower. She has a 0.88% lease. Now, she's not over the next 3 years. She's going to invest in this car, $579 times 36. She's going to invest $20,000 to drive a $65,000 car. Now, if somebody bought this $65,000 car, what's their payment? Every $5,000, remember this rule, is about $100 a month on a 5-year loan. Remember that rule. Every $5,000 when you look at a car is about $100 per month on a 5-year loan. So when you look at a $20,000 car, you should automatically say to yourself, that's going to cost me about $400 a month. You look at a $50,000 car, that's going to cost me about $1,000 a month on a 5-year loan. When you don't do that, now you let them put you in 6 and 7 year loans because you're not focused on what the real cost is. You're just like, get me to a low payment. If I get you to a low payment, I'm going to put you in an 8-year loan. So we know this. Looking at her car, she would be spending roughly $1,300 a month if she bought that car. Even if she got an incredible deal, saved 10 grand off of the car, she's still going to be spending about $1,100 a month. She's putting $579 a month into this car. How do you compare $579 to $1,100? How do you compare $579 to $1,300? Let's say she bought a used version of this car. So instead of $65, she found a used one for $40. Every $5,000, $100, that's an $800 a month payment. How do you compare $579 to $800 for a used version? You can't. So when you're out here listening to people who've told you don't lease, they don't understand depreciation and they don't understand how to get below market leases. These are not regular leases. In order to get below market leases, you must employ competition. You must get at least 5 offers because every dealer's price is different. So when you walk into one Nissan dealer and they tell you it's $600 a month, you don't walk out and say, hey, Nissan's charging $600 a month. No, Nissan of Bay Ridge is charging $600 a month. But this Nissan deal over here might be at $500. This Nissan deal over here might be at $420. You need to stay at home, get multiple offers. You can do this my way through email using the systems in my book, or you can do it your way, calling around and get multiple offers. But once you see how different these offers are, you'll realize how many dealers have been ripping you off. And 80% of them do this. 80% of them, their best offer is not going to be below market. They're going to make a certain amount of money or they won't sell the car to you. But we find the ones who will. All of this is in my new digital book, Cars from Home. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. You can get a copy for 75% off for the next 30 minutes in my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, the YouTube comments, or the Facebook comments. You'll have everything we teach step by step. You can Google the book, Cars from Home. It's already 5-star rated. We've already got tons of people using it, talking about it. And this is what I want for you. I don't want you paying above market or market value like everyone else is paying. You need to be paying below market value. And the only people that pay below market value are people with strategy. Okay, so I would tell you, Kitty Cafe, the first thing you need to be concerned with is actually leasing and not buying. You said you were a leaser. See, and oftentimes people who go from a lease to a purchase, I'm sorry to say you didn't get a good lease deal. Because if I'm paying, think about what Zafrina's paying. Let's continue to use Zafrina as an example. If Zafrina's paying $579 a month for a $65,000 car, $579 a month only gets her about $28,000. Let's call it $30,000 on a loan. So for her to go and get the same $579 payment, she's going to only have about $30,000 to spend on a car. If she goes with a 6-year loan, maybe she can get like a $33,000, $34,000 car. That's it. That's her loan. So she's going to have a hard time going from a $65,000 vehicle to a $35,000 vehicle. Most likely she's going to get something used. It's going to be older, and she's going to be like, wow, I'll just keep leasing. But if she was paying what other people are paying for this same Jeep, which is probably, I would say a lot of people for the same Jeep would probably be paying about $800, maybe $900. People with no strategy, they're probably paying $900 a month to drive this $65,000 car. It's easy to justify. So they're paying $800-900 a month. Then yeah, she might say, well, maybe I'll just buy something because I'm paying almost $1,000 a month to lease. But that's the difference between a below market lease and an average lease. There's a big difference. All right. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. The leasing versus buying thing is really, really what's hurting a lot of you. The leasing versus buying thing and the not getting below market leases. There's so many bad things about what's been out here with leases. It's horrific. I spend every day putting out information trying to dispel this. But I realize there is so many voices that have told you guys things. But here's the thing. I talk numbers. And I show numbers. If you pay attention, the people who tell you about leasing never talk numbers. They never show you numbers. All they do is rent. Leasing is renting. Leasing limits you. You limit, they pick your mileage. You pick the mileage. It's so much bad information. But I've been leasing since I'm 22 in the car business. Got my first lease Pontiac G6. $20,000 vehicle. I was paying $256 a month for it. Meanwhile, I had a friend, they're paying almost $500 for a Toyota Corolla. We both got a car for about the same time. They're paying $500. I'm paying $256. I'm seeing what they're going through with their car breaking down, getting older, because they kept the car for a while, getting older, and now I'm on my second car, paying a low payment. And as a young person, you don't want a $500 payment. I didn't need a $500 payment when I was 22, just had my daughter. I needed that $256 payment. They had just had a family too, but they got to come up with $500 a month to drive about the same price car. The Corolla and the Pontiac G6 at that time were about the same price. You can't justify to me in any way that makes more financial sense. There's nothing you can say to me unless that person's going to keep the car, pay it off, and then keep the Corolla forever. If you're going to keep the Corolla for 10 years and then you pass it down to your daughter or your son, it's their first car, and now you just got an extra car, that's a different story. You shouldn't be leasing if you're that person. But if you're a 5-year, 6-year owner, 7-year owner, and you're just paying these high payments, you pay your cars off, and then you go back into another finance, you're just overpaying. You're throwing thousands of dollars in the garbage, and there's no way around it. You put me against anybody You put me on the stage with Dave Ramsey himself, the guy who has programmed thousands of people never to lease cars, and you give me 15 minutes. I don't need 2 hours with Dave. I don't need to debate you for 2 hours, Dave. If we're not talking about investing in mutual funds, you do a great job there. We're talking about the financial aspects of below market leases. Let me show you what a below market lease looks like. Let's consider what a person who buys their car is going to pay versus the person who gets a below market lease. Let's look at the resale values of this person who buys their car when they go to trade that car in, what they're going to get back. And let's look at the net money they have lost compared to the person who got the below market leases. I will prove it to you in 10 to 15 minutes. And are you willing to tell your millions of people that you have programmed incorrectly because you know nothing about buying cars? You have programmed people based on you being a financial advisor, not a car person. You haven't seen thousands of car transactions to be able to say what you're saying. I've been involved with credit. Credit's a big part of what I do over the last 15 years. I don't teach it. Why? It's not my expertise. It's not my lane. It's easy for me to say, hey, I got a lot of people need to know about credit. Let me just start giving y'all some credit advice. No, because I respect the people who have learned credit to the T. Dave Ramsey decides I want to teach about cars. That's where he has led millions of people astray. And he has thousands of people investing in cars, short term, losing on resale, getting killed by depreciation. And they're like, well, Dave told me to do this. It's hard. It's hard to help. It's hard to get those people to unlearn. Go ahead, Dolan. Next question. Keep typing your questions, y'all. We will get through as many as we can in the stream. Good point. I only financed as I wanted to upgrade from my lease. My lease was $180 a month for 36 months. That's a big change. $180 gets you $10,000 on a finance. That's all $180 a month gets you. Now, if you put money down, that's different. Obviously, there's a lot of cars that most cars don't lease for $180. So I'm assuming that you put some money down to get there. But again, what were you driving for these payments? You're driving a brand new car. There's no comparison. When you're getting below market deals on leases, there's no comparison. Again, let's look at Charles. Charles gets a Palisade, $48,000 vehicle. Some people, and you may own one of these. And if you were honest, you say, Deshone, I own that vehicle. How much is your payment? No money down. Probably $800-900 a month. Probably $1,000 a month. He's paying $597. Some people say, oh, Deshone, don't they limit you on mileage? No, you pick the mileage. Look at Jen. Jen got her Honda CRV. She's paying $512 a month. It's a $40,000 vehicle. That's normally $800 a month to buy on a 5-year loan. She's paying $512 a month, and then she upgraded the mileage from $12,000 to $18,000, and her payment went from $512 to $563. 40 some odd dollars. She gets to drive as much as she wants, as she needs to drive, not as much as she wants to drive, as much as she needs to drive. And the problem that that you may have with leasing is you didn't get the mileage you needed, and then you started blaming the lease. You knew you drove 15,000 miles a year, but instead of getting 15,000 miles a year, you took the 10,000 mile a year option. You looked at the payment for 10,000 because you might have not been getting a below market lease, so the payment was high, and you're like, okay, well, just give me the 10, and then you know you needed 15, so now you're going to pay the penalty based on not the lease's fault, based on you. You could have paid $45 more per month, got every bit of mileage you needed, and then you could have enjoyed your lease hassle-free, dropped it off in 3 years, no problem. So people are blaming the lease for their lack of understanding about how they should. They don't pick the mileage for you on the lease. You pick the mileage. We got people who drive 25,000 miles in lease because they don't want to keep their cars tied up and have that depreciation on a car they own. If they drove 25,000 miles, any high mileage drivers, type HM into the comments. Any high mileage drivers, you drive over 18,000 miles. If you bought your car, tied up that money in that car, and depreciated it with high mileage, that car is going to be worthless in 3 years because you put 75,000 miles on it, and then you come back to replace it, and you have 15 grand of negative equity, and you wonder why. You depreciated the car. Meanwhile, when I was at Hyundai, I had a guy, I worked at Hyundai as a manager for 6 weeks. I had a guy who came in, he was dropping off his lease. I learned something incredible. I said, car had 72,000 miles on it. I said, you leased this? He said, yeah, man, I used to buy, I stopped buying because I would always have negative equity. I only lease now, 25,000 miles a year. I drop it off every 3 years, get me a new one. I'm in sales. I looked at his lease contract and I saw that his payment was less than $200 a month more than what a normal below market lease on that Sonata was. If a normal below market lease was $350, he might have been paying like $550, $525. It wasn't $700. He was paying a couple dollars more, but he could drive 25,000 miles a year, drop that thing off, never have to worry about negative equity. Mileage doesn't stop you from leasing. It's not about how much you drive. It's about how long you're going to keep the car, because a below market lease is how we beat depreciation or long-term ownership. Nothing to do with how much you drive. You pay for the mileage whether you buy or lease. Doesn't matter. Go ahead, Dolan. Keep typing your questions, y'all. We'll get through as many as possible. What's up, Ashley? What's up, Kenyari? What's up, Boss Babe? Ashley, good to see you. But I made my wife lease a brand new electric Equinox, $350 per month, and no sales tax. The $180 was a 2021 Corolla lease before the chip shortage for $3,000 down. Solid, solid. These are the things that you don't want to get away from until you're ready to keep a car long term. If you are leasing and not keeping cars 8 years, keep leasing. Make sure you're getting multiple offers so that you can get these below market leases, so that you're not paying these prices on the commercials that you see with 5,000 down and all of this tax that's not included. We are getting below market leases, and in order to do that, you must get 5 offers, at least 5 offers. Now you get these below market leases, and you keep doing that until you are ready to buy something. Because as Cafe just said, if he's paying $3,000 down, $180 a month, somebody who bought that Corolla is paying $3,000 down, $500 a month, because a Corolla is probably about 25 grand now. So that's a $500 a month payment with their taxes that they're paying when he's paying $180. This is not, look, for a brand new electric Equinox, he's paying $350 a month. This is someone else who knows how to get great lease deals, whether he's negotiating for them or whether he's calling around getting multiple offers. It doesn't matter. He's getting prices that you are not getting. And that's the prices we get. You want to understand that all prices aren't the same. There's below market price, there's market price, there's above market price. Above market is for the people with no strategy. You just walk in and you sign the deal. You might say no one time, and then the next offer you sign it. Market value is for the negotiators who are trying to feel for the bottom. You don't know where the bottom is, but you say, hey, take 2,000 off, we got a deal. Give me invoice price, we got a deal. You're paying market value. You're not getting anything special because there's hidden money, rebates, incentives that you don't know about. There's markups in the lease contracts, in the money factor, money hidden, you don't know about. And you'll never know about it until you get multiple bids. But below market price is reserved for the people who are shopping multiple dealers. We do it from home, getting multiple offers, and now you're paying $350 a month for a car that other people are paying $600 a month to own. You cannot justify pulling up in the same car and one of you is paying $350, one of you is paying $600. But the one who's paying $600 says, well, I'm going to own this. But by the time you pay it off, you're just going to turn around and get another car and do it all over again. So you never win, ever. It's a bad way to move. Go ahead, Dolan. What's up, Ray Johnson? Do you need to, hold on. Do you need to know all the bells and whistles? I don't know what that means. Can you rephrase that question? Let's type it in another way because I don't know what you mean by that. Can you elaborate? What about the people that drive high miles? You should still be asking yourself, how am I going to beat depreciation? The first step in my process is to determine what I'm going to do to beat depreciation on this depreciating asset I'm buying. So if you're a high mileage driver, you drive more than 18,000 miles per year, you're depreciating your car so rapidly that in 5 years, you're going to have, call it 100,000 miles plus on the vehicle, but your loan does not move that fast. Most of your loans are going to move this way, but your depreciation is moving like this because you are just using the heck out of the car. This is point and proof that you pay for usage, whether you buy or lease. If you bought a car and put 100,000 miles on it, you do pay for that. If the same person bought the same car, but they only put 50,000 miles on it, their car's worth more than yours. They can sell it for more. So you lose based on your usage. So in the short term, you can't win driving high miles because you are literally destroying the value of your car. Then you flip to another car. That'd be like you doing this. Hey, do me a favor. Give me this car. Let me depreciate it like crazy. Then let me swap it out and let me get this car depreciated like crazy. And you just keep doing it. Depreciate it like crazy. But you're never getting to the point where the car is paid off and now the car starts to depreciate like this. That's for the people. If you have a car that you've had for 10 years, 12 years, 9 years, 14 years, this is what the car is depreciating like. You're losing a little bit every year. If it was worth 9,000 this year, it's probably worth 8,200 next year. You beat depreciation. And that's when you enjoy, this is the benefits of ownership. This is what I call in my book, the reward stage. You don't get here without long-term ownership. And if you're not built for long-term ownership, that is okay. But what you should be doing is doing what my client who was in Hyundai did, doing your high mileage lease, shopping for a below market lease, and then driving the mileage you need and dropping off your car in 3 years and going and getting a new one over and over again. You're never tying up your money in these cars. If you're going to tie up your money in these cars, you better have it in there for the long run. If you're going to tie up your money for 5 years in a depreciating asset, you are losing money in depreciation. Like you can't get it back. That's why you're never happy with what the car is worth. When you come and find out what your car is worth, you're like, I can't believe that's all you're giving me for my old car, because you're thinking about how much you put into it. Long-term owners like this, those of you who have cars that you kept for 12 years, you're not thinking about the resale value, right? Right or right? You're like, Sean, I got so much money out of this car. I had this car, man, the transmission went out. I put a new transmission in it. I got my money out this car. That's the benefit of buying. And if you're not buying, you should be if you're not getting there, you should be shopping for below market leases, never tying up your money in these cars to begin with. It's only two ways. Get out the middle. It's three people. Long-term keepers, short-term leasers, then it's the people that's stuck in the middle. You buy your cars, trade them in. You lease the car, you buy the lease. Stuck in the middle. Go ahead, Dolan. All of this is in my new digital book. If you're like, Deshone, there's no way I'm going to remember this. You can get my new digital book. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. It's already 5-star rated. Thank you to everyone who has rated and reviewed the book on Goodreads. We appreciate you. You can get your copy. It's normally $97, but for the next 30 minutes, you can get your copy for $24, which is 75% off if you get to my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, the YouTube comment link, or the Facebook comment link before the 30-minute timer hits zero. After the timer hits zero, price does go back up to $97, and it's worth every penny of $97. This book will be the top 3 most valuable books in your library. And when I say valuable, I mean the books that save you money. There's only a few books. I got a bunch of books. You guys can see I'm grabbing them. There's only a couple of these books that have actually put money in my bank account or helped me save money. There's not a lot of them. This will be the top 3 most valuable books to your bank account. That's all I care about. So go grab your copy, TikTok bio, Instagram bio, YouTube link, or Facebook comments, and you'll have everything we teach in the blueprint of how to get below market leases, below market purchases, below market new cars, used cars, high mileage driving. Everything is in there step by step. It's a blueprint. All right. Go ahead, Dolan. All right. Buy a car for the first time. I'm going through my bank. My budget is $8,000 and I finance the rest. So you have $8,000 cash. You want to see, can I get a vehicle without using that cash? So if you're talking about financing, first thing you want to decide is, what can we get without a down payment? So depending on where I want my payment to be, let's say $350 a month. Maybe I want it to be $350 a month for 5 years. Well, can I get a car with everything I want, everything I need, $350 a month for 5 years? That's my budget. If I could do that, I don't need a down payment. Now, if you say, okay, $350 a month for 6 years, no money down, that's a little more money. If you say, all right, $350 a month for 5 years, but then I'm going to use some of my down payment. Now I can get even more car. And then your max budget might be $350 a month with my down payment for 6 years. See, all of those numbers didn't change, but the terms changed and what you bring to the table changes. That budget doesn't change, but you don't realize if I get a car for $350 a month for 5 years, I paid less than if I get a car for $350 a month for 6 years. So these is how we budget. I actually have a tool in my book called the Perfect Budget Calculator I created, where you put in your preferred down payment, you put in any equity you have from your old car, you put in your max monthly payment, you put in the average interest rate, and it'll give you up to 6 goals that you shop from. So when I went and got my used Infiniti truck, I had 6 goals. One of them was no money down 5 years. Next one was no money down 6 years. Third one was money down 5 years. Money down 6 years. Then the fifth one was money down and the equity I had from selling my old car. And then the sixth one was money down, equity, and 6-year loan. See, there's multiple ways to budget where you don't go over your max. But I find the problem is when we budget with our max in mind, I only want to spend $500 a month, $500 a month, $500 a month. You usually go in and you spend what? $600, $550. You're putting $1,500 on a credit card because you didn't calculate the taxes. The tool in my book, the Perfect Budget Calculator, calculates the taxes in your state. So you don't go in and say, oh man, I didn't know there was another $3,000 in taxes and fees. Who's had that happen? Oh man, I thought we was making a deal, but you forgot about the taxes and fees. See, all of this stuff you don't realize should be normal in a complex financial transaction. But what they've taught you in the car business is to just treat car buying like you're buying a TV because it makes them very rich. I've been in the business for 14 years. I sat next to people who I know shouldn't be in the business, but they're not going to get them out the business. They make a lot of money for the dealerships. They'll always have a job. Even if they get fired here because the customers start complaining, they'll go there and they'll say, hey, look, I made 300 grand at my last place. Oh man, when can you start? These people are always going to have a job. So when you look at the industry and say, okay, if this is what the industry is like, what do they care about me? They don't. The 20% of dealers who get up every morning and they do the right thing. They want to beat their competition. They're honest. They want to make sure that they're giving you the best service. It's 20%, 2 out of 10. You're going into your local dealer and you're buying from them, not realizing that's an 80% dealer. All they do is make a lot of money on their customers. If they can't make a lot of money on their customers, they won't sell the car. And you know what's beautiful about the car business? For those of you who are wolves and sharks and evil, it's not about the customer winning. It's about you making the customer think they won. I'm going to say that again. For those of you who are like, what business could I get into where I can make 200 grand? And I don't need to have morals as long you are trained to make the customer think they want. And that's all it's about. That's why you start high and you come down. If you know your price on your car is $600 a month, you start at $800. This is what the worst people do. You know that the full price for your car is $600 a month. When Mr. Jones sit down, hey, Mr. Jones, all right, we got a great proposal for you. Great news. We're going to make you a great deal today. Your payment's $790 with $2,000 down. What? That seems like a high for this car. The car is only this. That seems real high. And then I didn't even want to do any down payment. All right, so you didn't want to do a down payment. So, all right, look, if I could get the down payment out, your payment would go from $790 to now it's $840. No down payment, though. What's more important than you, the payment or the down payment? No, well, both. But what's more important? If you had to pick one, well, I really don't want to do any money down. All right, so right now we're at $840. Where can we agree? I'll talk to my manager. Where can we agree that you'll be happy. Because I want to make you happy, Mr. Jones. Nah, I mean, I'm thinking of paying like, I really wanted to be at 500, Mr. Jones. I understand. Where'd you come up with that number? I just thought, like, I'm looking at the car, I'm thinking, 500 seems fair, but follow me, Mr. Jones. You're looking at this car, you know where the demand is, you know there's no cars around. This is all stuff that's not true. You don't know where the demand is because you haven't shopped. There's no cars around. You don't know that because you haven't shopped. But these guys we are absolutely trained to, if you want to use your powers for evil, it is very easy to get you. That's why we don't shop that way. I would never send you in to deal with people who negotiate every day for a living like this. Your power is being at home, having multiple dealers compete for your business, and that's how people like Tasha get these deals. Thousands off on a brand new car, only 1-year-old car. This is how. We got grandmothers who do this. Look, India, ridiculous deal on a Toyota. Look, Hyundai, $365 a month, no money down. 2024 Hyundai Elantra, limited, with the leather in it. She didn't get that going in negotiating. You can't. But from home, that's where the power is. That's why our entire system is called Cars from Home. I can sit here and walk you through why you can't win. I don't care who you are. So when I'm telling you, you have to change the way you shop. When people say there's no deals, they're right. To you, there's no deals. To someone who doesn't have shopping strategy, doesn't know how to put dealers against each other, there are no deals. But to people like us, we've been making deals. Let me show you, Benita. Let me show you a pandemic deal. When people were out there thinking, no deals, Deshone, this is so bad. When is the market going to change? Look, Bonita, 2022, she leased her dream vehicle, a 2023 Kia Telluride. She put $600 down, drove off $600 a month. She gave them $600, drove off, no money down lease. People were leasing and buying these vehicles for $10,000 over sticker. I'm not on here to talk to you about hundreds of dollars. What do I care about hundreds of dollars? You think we're on here, you think we're getting together to gather you guys to talk about hundreds of dollars? That doesn't matter to me. Thousands is all we talk about. Every single thing we discuss here is $1,000 mistakes. You not leasing when you should be leasing. $5,000, $7,000 mistakes minimum. You not getting multiple offers on your car. Could be depending on the car, you look at somebody like Kimberly. Kimberly gets $20,000 off her Maserati. $20,000. Sean gets $20,000 off his F-150 Lightning. These are just some of the, look, even somebody like Tiffany, let's take a smaller discount. She gets a Mazda CX-90. She gets $6,500 off. What happens? There are people who got that same car. You won't. They're not going to say it. They'll never say it. They'll never come on here and say, "Hey, Deshone, I got that same car you just showed her get, and I only got $2,000 off." They won't say I overpaid by $4,500 because I didn't know this. But I'm telling you, I know this because I've been working with people around the country. So understand, we're not here to talk small numbers. When we're tapping in, we're asking you to tap in, lock in, so that you can actually keep thousands and thousands of dollars in your bank account instead of putting it in these cards or giving it to these dealers. That's it. So everything we discuss is out of my new book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. It's a 7-step process. Doesn't matter whether you're leasing, 7 steps. Doesn't matter if you're buying new, 7 steps. Buying used, 7 steps. You want to sell your leases, which who didn't know you could sell a lease? Put a question mark. Who didn't know you could sell a lease? Type a question mark in the comments. Question mark. Deshone, what do you mean you could sell a lease? Okay, thank you. We're renovating with the jeans. Okay, look, Lynn, Brooke, Miss Tucker. Look. How much has that cost you? Not knowing, and we begin to teach people to do this during the pandemic because every single car was $7,000 to $10,000 more than it was truly worth. So a Jeep Grand Cherokee, I sold my Jeep Grand Cherokee for $28,000 after I had leased it for 3.5 years. 39 months, I leased it, and then I sold it for $28,000. The vehicle, brand new, was $35,000. Brand new, that Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo that I leased for $330 a month, paid $330 a month for 39 months. I sold it for $28,000. CarMax won the bid, and I put $9,800 in my pocket. I helped my mother sell her lease on her Mazda CX-5 for $10,200 in equity she put in her pocket. Now, those equity numbers don't exist anymore. That was a once-in-a-lifetime seller's market, well, so far in our lifetime. So far. There's people who still want that. They still are basing, and you may know people who are like, hey, well, I'm going to buy this car and I'm going to flip it because I bought a 2019 Mustang and then I sold that Mustang in 2021 and got all my money back. Try that again. You're going to lose everything. It's over. It's over. That was a limited inventory, global shortage, chip shortage. Everything's worth $7,000 to $10,000 to $12,000 more. Those who cashed out won. Those who cashed out at that time won big. You can look back over history, and I helped a lot of people do that. You can look at my videos. Some of my biggest videos, 5 million views, 3 million views, had to cash out. People coming on there, yo, I just sold my lease. I made $7 grand. Yo, I made 10 grand because of you. Yo, I sold 2 leases. I'm telling everybody during the pandemic, cash out, cash out, cash out, cash out. You won't be able to do this again. But there's still money to be made if you have equity in your lease. There's still $2,000, $1,700, $3,000, $4,000. Some of you low mileage people who you lease, but you only drive 5,000 miles a year. There's equity there. But you got to know how to get it. You got to know how to get bids. What's the process? And get we get bids from CarMax, Driveway, Carvana, Kelly's Blue Book Instant Cash Offer. What is that strategy alone worth? Just the cash out, just the equity assessment, step 2 in my process is worth, for those of you who trade in cars, that right there, one step out of my 7-step process is going to be worth thousands of dollars to you. So you can get my new digital book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships, and you can get it for 75% off. That's my welcome offer to you, but it's only for 30 minutes. You go to my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, the YouTube comments, or the Facebook comments, click that link and get your copy for 75% off. You won't even pay the $97 price. You'll pay $24, but you got to get there before the timer goes to 0, and then it goes back up to $97, which is worth every penny. Book's worth every penny at $97. It'll be in your inbox in 2 minutes. And make sure as soon as you get the book, you screenshot the thank you page, because the link to open the book is actually on that page. You open the book on that page, and I also email you a copy, but my support team's email is actually on that page as well, because sometimes you type your email wrong, you're typing fast, you're trying to hurry up and get it before the sale ends, and then you end up typing your email wrong. We can't send the book to a wrong email, so that you'll have my support team's email there. But this is the most serious thing outside of buying a house. There's nothing more serious to me. And some of you are not going to even buy houses. Some of you like, Deshone, I'm a renter. I don't plan on buying. That means the car is your most expensive purchase, and you're going to do it over and over again. You might have 5, 10 of them in your lifetime or more. You lose $5 grand on every one because you didn't have strategy. That's a tough gig. That's a tough gig. I wouldn't want to be in that situation, and I'm not going to be. And anyone who's listening to me is not going to be. Go ahead, Dolan. Let's keep the show on the road. Do you need to know all the extras you want? Upgraded sound system items that are not in the base price? Absolutely. Whenever we buy a new car or we shop for a lease, we always build our car. We go on the site because we want to know everything's available, because we don't want to get a car and find out there was an option we wanted that we didn't get. And we also want to know what we can live with and live without. And we want to build our car to come up with an MSRP. So if the car you want the panoramic sunroof, you want the blind spot monitors, which most cars come with now, whatever it is, you need to have an idea of what that's going to cost. So once we build out our car, we determine our car is $42,900 the way we want it. Now, most times we're going to reach out to dealers and they're not going to have the exact car. That's why we always come up with, and when we're leasing, we come up with a couple colors. Buying, we don't compromise as much because this is a car you need to love. You're going to have it for 8+ years. You don't want to compromise on what you want, or be talked into some, or let you convince yourself of getting something, a color you really don't love, because you're buying this car to keep it for the long run. Now, on a lease rather, you can be much more flexible because in 2.5 years, you're getting ready to shop again. You get a 3-year lease, 2.5 years, 6 months left, it's time to shop again. So we want to make sure we can be more flexible with that. But yes, we want to know how much it's going to cost so that we can start to budget. We always say with a lease, when we build out our car, we take 1.25% and we use that as a gauge of around about what it should cost. So if we're looking at a car that's $42,300, we multiply that by 0.125 and we say, okay, $528, that's a fair below market lease deal. Now, if we can do better than that with bids, we will. If the lease program is not as good, when we get our bids, it might come in at 1.3, 1.4, our best offer. We're going to have more offers than that. If your other offers aren't higher, then you didn't shop the right way. Because when you shop, you should see a $3,000 to $5,000 to $7,000 difference from your best offer to your worst offer. When you get offers the way we teach, you're going to get more market value, below market value, above market value. You're going to see them all. And you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe all these dealers, this their best offer? Yes, they want to sell and make a lot of money. But we don't care about them. I don't focus on the 80%. We're looking for the 20%. So we use this as a gauge to say, all right, this is around about what I think I should be looking at paying, depending on the deal that I get when I actually get my offers. So that's why it's important for us to build the car. Those are all the reasons it's important for us to build the car before we actually go shop for it. Okay? It's a great question. I see you. I'm leasing this year. There you go. If I could get more people to lease, wake up and look. I don't want you leasing if you're keeping your cars 8 or more years. That's the key, because sometimes people will come on the stream, hey, is this all about leasing? No. If you're buying, there's so many things you need to know about getting below market purchases. New cars, used cars, we haven't had those questions come in. People are not really asking questions about used cars and things of that nature, but I'm answering the questions that Dolan puts up that you guys are writing. So when we look at purchasing, there's a ton of questions that we got to look at, ton of questions. But when it comes to people not keeping their car 8 years, you should be shopping for leases. You're not keeping a car long enough to beat the depreciation. The depreciation is going to kill you, not the loan. Doesn't matter. Loan's okay. You could pay cash. Doesn't matter. The depreciation is going to kill you. That's what you're doing. You're buying a depreciating asset, trying to keep it short term, flip it, and do it again. You can't win. The only way to win with a depreciating asset is long-term ownership, or never tie your money up in it in the first place, which is a below market lease. Go ahead, Dolan, throw that one back up. Arturo, does your credit score affect the lease? Sure. You want to have fair credit. I always tell people you want to get to about a 660, 680, similar to if you were trying to get a good deal on a house. You would be trying to set yourself up with a good credit report to buy a house. Now with leasing, you can also lean on payment history. So if you have a $400, $500 a month payment, you've been making it on time for 2 years, that weighs heavily and you getting approved. I always say it's nothing that gets you approved for a new car like a paid on-time payments for your old car. The banks look at that and say, well, hey, we can see, yeah, credit cards might be high, but they never miss the payment on their car. They never miss that $500 payment. That means something to the banks when your credit score is a little in that marginal in that marginal range or that mid range. So I always tell people, get to a fair range, work on your credit so that you're able to lease, and don't tie up your money in a long-term purchase because you can't lease right now. If I couldn't lease right now, my only mission would be to get an inexpensive car, get my credit to a 660, 670 to lease. I wouldn't be trying to get a Dodge Charger, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 car. I'm going to pay 20% interest And when I go out to replace that car, I'm going to have so much negative equity because the interest alone is going to bury me because I don't have good credit. So now I'm no closer to leasing. My payment is going to be high. And I usually end up with an older car because I'm trying to squeeze my way into a nice car that I could show off and feel good about. Nah, I mean, I work hard. I want to be able to drive something that, I feel good about. But you haven't qualified yet. You haven't qualified to drive something great yet. If you have a 500 credit score, 600 credit score, you're not qualified to drive something ideal yet. You should be sacrificing to get set up so that I can make a power move. And what you do in getting set up is you get the least expensive car that you can get a loan on. You get a $10,000 car, quality, small car. Try to get something that brand new was $24,000, $25,000, Hyundai Elantra. Get yourself a smallest car that you can qualify for, and you have minimal payments, $200, $250 a month payments. You pay those payments on time. You make sure it's a quality car, and you go and you make a move for a lease once you've established yourself. Or you can just do what other people do and say, you know what, who could get me in this brand new whatever, or who could get me in that, used Mercedes? And you're going to lose in every way. The quality of the car is not going to be ideal. The loan is going to be out of control. The interest is going to be ridiculous. You might not get a great price on the car because you come in looking desperate. You need a car, not want a car. You need a car. So nothing is working for you. Everything's against you. So it's much better for you to discipline yourself. Say, look, I don't mind driving something that I don't feel great about, but I'm working on my credit. I'm going to make these payments on time. I'm going to get myself to a 660. I'm going to have 2 years of on-time payments, and then I'm pulling off the lot in a brand new lease. Power moves. That's a plan. Go ahead, Dolan. And in my book, that's called the SMART car strategy. It stands for saving money at the right time. If you can't qualify for a lease, your only goal should be to set yourself up to lease. Now, if you're buying and your credit's not good, I'm an 8-year person. I keep my cars 8 or more years. Nothing wrong with buying a higher priced car and refinancing it later. So if you say, hey, I need to get, if you're a long-term person, your goal should be get a great price on the car. You're going to pay more in interest and then fix your credit. And instead of changing the car in 2 years to a lease, you would change the loan, refinance, and then you would keep the car. So it's depending on long-term versus short-term is everything. That's why in my book, it is step 1. You need to know from the get-go, am I a long-term person, 8+ years, or not? Because that's going to be the foundation we build on. Everything else comes after that. Karen, thank you for helping with my digital book. I wasn't checking my email. Of course, we want to use cars. So you're just following the multiple marketplace strategy. There's steps before that. And here's what I tell you, guys who have my book, ask yourself, what step am I on? This is what I tell everybody that I work with. Ask, what step am I on? Because if you're doing step 3, but you have not done step 1, that's a clear indicator. Oh man, I haven't done step 1. Step 1 is leasing versus buying. Most important question. How are we beating depreciation? We go into deep. I show you lease scenario, purchase scenario, lease scenario, used car scenario, to make it very clear that if you set out to buy, but you should have leased, can't help you. You're lost. And I talked about that earlier. We ran Zafrina's $579 a month payment versus what a new car would cost her, which would be $900 or $65,000 car. That would have been $1,100. Or a used version was $800. So you can't compare that. If you go out and you get a great deal on a purchase and your payment's $700 a month, then that means that lease payment probably would have been $400 a month. It's no way to, how do I get out of this? You shouldn't have been in it. That's why this is step 1. So what was that question? What was that question? I don't even know how I got on that. Oh, you said I want to use car. Yeah. So we want to, so you want to ask yourself, where am I at in the process? Because we're not in the market until step 5. Step 5, we're in the market. That's when we're on our marketplaces, shopping, narrowing it down. We have specific ways we narrow down used cars. This is not just general information that you can find on social media and you Google it, how to buy a used car. Yeah, good luck. That stuff means nothing. Car salespeople are been watching those blog articles for years saying, okay, this is what they're coming to do. Don't tell them you have a trade-in. Okay, good. Stuff has been around for 20 years. What we're doing is we're narrowing it down when we get to step 5, based on title history, service records, accident history. Then we're narrowing it down and we're coming up with our top 5 choices, top 3 to top 5. Then we're verifying who has bogus fees, who put one price online that they're not going to honor. So all of these, this is my top 5 list, but some of these might be fake prices. So we need to verify that. And then we're going to get the new car price to find out what the true discount was. How much was this vehicle brand new? When I bought my Infiniti truck, I narrowed it down to 4 choices. They were all white, between $30,000 and $32,000. Sounds similar. They're not. You looking at 4 white Infiniti trucks between $30,000 and $32,000. Similar miles, all 2020s. They were 3 years old at the time. Looking at all 3, whoa, these vehicles look similar. Once I got the brand new price, I found out one of them was $46,000 brand new. The other one was $48,000 brand new. The other one was $52,000 brand new. And the one I ended up getting was $54,000 brand new. Big difference. See, so what seemingly was close was nowhere near close. The furthest apart was 54 to 46. It's an $8,000 difference between the least expensive one and the most expensive one. But without the brand new price, you don't know that. You're choosing the wrong vehicle, thinking, oh, I got a good deal. No, the good deal was that other one that you didn't pick because you didn't have the brand new price. So that's step 5. But we got plenty of things we do before that to verify the DNA of the vehicle, check the data. And look, let me be clear. It takes me 90 minutes to buy cars. I'm not putting a system together that takes days. I'm not going to do it. It's not necessary. Choosing your vehicle, that might take you days. Going and looking at cars, test driving, that might take you days. Deciding what you want. We call that shopping. That's a step in my book. Shopping, not buying. That's deciding what you want. But once you know what you want, 90 minutes. Now, first time you use our system, it might take you 2-3 hours because you're just learning. You're overthinking. Haven't trusted our process yet. That's normal. But once you see, wait, this is simple steps. I'm going to websites, putting information here, looking at this. This is stuff a high school kid would do. If I could teach a high school kid to buy a car, it'd be easier than some adults because they haven't reached. They don't have to unlearn much. Adults, it's like, hey, but I don't have to go into the dealer. You know, hey, Deshone, I went into the dealer and this is what they said. Deshone, my dealer called me and they said this. Well, when did I tell you to talk to the dealer? I thought you were coming to use our system because you didn't want to talk to the dealers. Yeah, you're right. See, that's overthinking. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to lose because we got a lot. That's how a lot of people come. You're trained to do things one way. You have to unlearn that. But once you see what we do, you're like, man, I can do this again next time. It'll take me 2 hours. I get any car I want in the country, Bentley, Rolls Royce, Corolla. It's going to take me 90 minutes because I'm using the internet. We're emailing. You know, I'm not getting in my car and driving to a dealer. So that's what we need to focus on. I know you have the book. Make sure you're asking yourself, where am I in the process? Start with step 1, just check them off. Step 7 is delivery. So when you check off delivery, you're done. You got your car. All right. Everything that I'm teaching is in my new book. It's called Cars from Home. It's a digital book. It's called Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. You can get your copy for 75% off. It's part of my welcome offer. It's normally $97. But if you get to my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, the Facebook comments, or the YouTube comments before the 30-minute timer hits 0, you got your copy for 75% off, which is $24. And it'll be in your inbox in 2 minutes. So once the timer hits 0, price does go back up to $97. And it's still worth every penny at $97. Go ahead, Dolan. Dolan, you there? All right. Is it worth buying a BMW or Mercedes brand new or pre-owned certified? That's a matter of budget. As long as you're going to keep the car 8 years, the only difference between a new or used purchase is budget. And if you can afford both, now it's about your values. Do you want a new car because you only buy a new car every 10 years and you're like, man, I'm going to treat myself, I could afford it? Or do you want a pre-owned car because you're like, hey, I want to treat myself, but I could also take a 2 or 3 year old one and I'll be just fine with that. Now, what I always say, if you're going to buy something close to new, 1 or 2 years old, you need to shop the new, you need to shop the new market first, because you might overspend for a 1 or 2 year old vehicle because you don't know what the new market is for a brand new one. So, example, Kimberly saves $20,000 off her Maserati. Sean saves $20,000 off his F-150. Milligan saves $27,000 off her Mercedes-Benz. So when you look at these vehicles, and I show these deals, if you're on YouTube, if you're on YouTube, that's Melissa. If you're on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, you can see these. You zoom in here, you can see she saved $27,000 off her Mercedes. And some of these vehicles, even with these leases, you'll see people have saved 10 grand, 7 grand. Now, let's take the more dramatic discounts over 10 grand. If you can save over 10 grand on a brand new vehicle, then that means when you go buy a 1 year old one, what should you be saving? If I know that the new market is 10 grand off, then for a 1 year old one, I'm looking for about 18 grand off. I'm not looking for 15 grand off. 5 more thousand, I'll get a brand new one. So I need to know what the new market is to know what the used market should be. Now, this is once you get to 3 years old, you don't need to do this, because 3-year-old vehicles, there's a lot of options, because there's only 2 ways dealers get most cars. They're going to buy them off their customers, or buy them from auction, or they're going to buy them after the lease. So 3 ways. Buy them after the lease. Most leases are 3 years. They're going to buy them from their customers. Most people don't trade their cars in 2 years. Or they're going to buy them from auction. And most people are not getting rid of their cars in 1 or 2 years. So you don't have a lot of options to choose from. You have limited competition. And when you have limited competition, you have a high chance of overpaying. But if I shop the brand new market and I see, wait a minute, on this car, brand new, I could get $20,000 off. Now, some of you might say, wow, if I could afford, I'll just get a brand new one. If that's the market, because I didn't know that the discount was going to be that big. But once you see this, okay, I know I can't pay more than on a used one. See, somebody who would buy a 1 year old F-150 Lightning, truck's normally 70,000, 73,000. So they might look at a 1 year old one for 55 and be like, wow, that looks good. Thank you, Renovating with the Gene. They might look at it and be like, okay, wait, this is a 1 year old vehicle and you asking 55,000 for it? That sounds good. Because it's brand new. How much is it brand new? Well, 73 brand new. Whoa, that's a big discount, man. All right, yeah, I ain't gonna even argue with you. Let me get that. Not realizing that the brand new market on that vehicle, the person saved $21,000. So 73, 63, 53. So literally the brand new market on that vehicle was lower than what you just paid for a 1 year old vehicle. And what's going to happen when you go to resell that vehicle later? You're going to lose because you overpaid by thousands of dollars. So this is so important to understand. People overpay for used cars all the time for a variety of reasons. They don't know what it was originally. What was the original new car price to even know they're getting a good deal on a used one? They don't know what the actual new car, again, this is for the 1 and 2 year people. You got options because somebody asked, hey, should I buy brand new or should I buy pre-owned? That means you probably have the money to afford both. So you might go out and buy a 1 or 2 year old pre-owned. But if you're like Milligan and you bought one of these electric ones, she saved $27,000. If you went in and you bought a 1 year old one and you got 20 grand off, you might think you won. But she got 27,000 off a brand new one, which means if I saw 27,000 off a brand new one, for a 1 year old one, I want 35 grand off. I want 38 grand off. The new market for this vehicle is very soft. So that means the 1 year old market should be very soft. It's an extreme depreciation. Another reason why you don't buy these vehicles. Now, mind you, you know what I didn't mention? the people who paid for this vehicle and didn't get $27,000 off. It's people who are going to see this stream. Again, most of them will never say it. They have this same vehicle that Milligan has. Same $73,000 vehicle. They went in, they negotiated. They said, listen, all right, come on, man, make it 10 grand. 10 grand off. And they went home thinking, hey, honey, you're not going to believe this. Guess how much they took off the truck? How much? 10,000 off. They in there, oh, I won. I won. See something like this? That's why you can't feel for the bottom. Negotiating and feeling for the bottom, wondering, all right, I think I'm at the bottom. That sounds good. You can't win. In fact, I've showed you multiple ways you can lose huge like that, and people are losing like that. You can't feel for the bottom. You don't know what we have as the dealers. You don't know what rebates I have. You don't know how many incentives I have. You don't know if the manufacturer sent us extra money because we got to move these vehicles. You don't know any of that. You come in and asking for the invoice. All right, invoice on a $73,000 car, 6.5% markup. All right, invoice is 57, and a good salesman's gonna fight you for invoice. They're not gonna just lay down and give you invoice, even if they sitting on 20,000 in rebates. A good salesman is fighting for every dollar of the commission. So you've been, hey, how they gonna fight? They got 20 more thousand. You telling me they got 20,000 in rebates and they gonna fight me for 1,000? Yes, because it's perception. If they take off $10,000 for you in a heartbeat, you might think, wow, you took off 10,000 a little too fast. This is how salespeople are trained. So I'm telling you, the people who believe it, they're going to win. If you listen to me, you're going to win. If you don't listen, you're going to keep losing. And when I say losing, I mean, show me your car deals. Show me your car deals. That's all I care about. Sean, I'm going to do it my way. Okay, show me your car deals. DM me. Sean, I did it my way. How this look? All right, would you bet me $1,000 I can't find a better deal than this? Would you take the bet? I'm looking at your deal. You did it your way. Yeah, I went in. I negotiated this thing. Okay. Would you bet me $1,000 that I can't find a better deal than this? Oh, nah, man. I don't think I want to take that bet. I know you don't, because you don't have confidence that you actually got the below market deal. You might have got the best price from that one dealer. I don't doubt that. But that dealer is an 80% dealer, and his competition would blow this price away. But because you didn't talk to his competition, you never gave his competition an email, you never gave them an opportunity, you don't know that they would have beat this price by $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. That's what we do here. That's what Cars from Home is. That's why our system is called Cars from Home. All our deals, 90% of what we do is from home. 90%, and sometimes 100%. Only time we can't do 100% is if a dealer doesn't deliver or we're buying a used car. Used car, we must go to the dealer. We must test drive that. That's our last step in our process before we lock the deal up. We cannot, but we've had tons of people who never left their house. I have a couple of them on here. Delivered the car. Let's see, we got people on here. Leasing process went quick. Sent the email. Anyway, I could pull up a bunch of people who just did. That's simple, because dealers this is 2024. Like, people think Carvana is the only place that delivers cars. There's plenty of dealers, especially the 20%, that'll bring the car right to your doorstep. Look, about 5 days I walked out. Yeah. Anyway, all right, I think we've done enough. Look, everything that we've taught today is out of my new book, Cars from Home, 7 Steps to Saving Time, Money, and Avoiding Dealerships. It's a 7-step process that I've developed over 14 years in the car business to buy and lease cars below market value in 90 minutes. This does not take a lot of time. This is the easiest way. You don't have to be a great negotiator. You will stay at home where your power is, where you can put dealers against each other, put banks against each other. Thank you so much, Renovating with James. And you can employ competition. The same way you shop for everything else, competition, you can bring that to your car deals. And that's the only way you're going to get below market deals. And that's the only way you're going to start to enjoy car shopping. When you're at home and tons of dealers and banks are actually competing for your business, you actually enjoy that. That's why when you see people like Teddy, who said that I will never lease another car any other way. Look, suppose it's a bit wordy. Look at Teddy. You got his BMW 2024 i4 M50, $73,000 vehicle. His best offer was $856 a month, which is a 1.16 lease. His highest offer was $1123 a month from another dealer. His closest dealer, his local BMW dealer, was 97. Where was it? Nine. Look, the dealer closest to me was 986. His closest dealer that he probably drove by and saw the car and said, "Man, all right, I'm gonna work with them one day." 986 a month. He ends up paying 856, over $130 less than his local dealer. But he did it from home, and he said at the beginning, "I will never, I repeat, never lease another vehicle any other way." Now, had he bought the car and got 10,000 off, he would have said, "I will never buy a car any other way." The Cars from Home way is how you are in control, how you feel like the prize, and when that 20% dealer wins your business, you feel like you won. You know you won. So, all right, let me get out of here, y'all. Grab your copy as my welcome offer to you of Cars from Home. 7 steps to saving time, money, and avoiding dealerships. 30 minutes only. You can get it for 75% off, which so you won't pay the normal $97. In my TikTok bio, my Instagram bio, click the picture of me, the YouTube link, or the Facebook link, and grab your copy. As long as you get there before the 30 minutes is up, you got it for $24, and you'll have everything step by step. You don't have to remember any of the things we've spoken about over the last hour, 15 minutes. You don't have to remember them because you will have the blueprint step by step. Leasing step by step, buying step by step, selling leases, selling your cars. We never trade cars, getting out of negative equity. All in there, high mileage driving, everything in my 14 years of experience is in that book. All right, so I look forward to you guys using it. Make sure you send me your success stories. Write me emails when you make your deals. Let's continue to 30 minutes now. It's only available for 30. Now, it's available forever. $97 is the price. Normal price of the book is $97. But for 30 minutes, you can go to my TikTok bio and you can get your copy for $24, which is 75% off. All right. God bless you guys. I'll see you soon. And keep unlearning, keep relearning.